networks. He's a professor of cybernetics at the University's Reading. It's great to hear that title still in use, going back to ancient days nearly with Professor Wiener. As well as the director of the university's KTP Center. He's held positions at Oxford and Newcastle and Warwick universities before he accepted this chair at the University of Reading. He's published 500 or more research papers and was...
Nobody's read any of them.
You want to get back to the probabilities, 500, something I'm sure they have. And was presented with the Future of Health Technology Award from MIT. His implant technology research was featured on Wired magazine. We're very pleased to have you giving our keynote speak.
Thank you. Thank you, Barak. Thank you, Temple and team, for inviting me here. Thank you, Martine, as well. A fellow co-star, I understand, from IMDb. I think the Transcendent Man Ray's film. So we'll meet at the Oscars, I guess. So we look forward to that. We'll get the speech ready. Yes, it's nice to be here from a cautious Europe, I guess, as we've just been talking about. And I'm afraid this is going to be a little bit of a history. I know you've all been talking about the future. I'm really going to go into the past. So if you get a bit bored with it, so be it. But maybe there'll be a little bit of speculation there. It's looking at more experimentation as well, so there's not really going to be any charts and mathematics, or it's all, these are the results of what we've done. And just to get you in the mood, I'm going to go back to the last millennium, even that far ago. Radio frequency identification devices. This is to set the scene. Here's me, much, much younger, 1998. There's my local doctor. At the time, I mean, if Wikipedia is a relevant reference, it's been used once or twice, you'll see it says one of the first human trials. I think maybe it was the first, but one of the first human trials. It was implanted in my arm. That's the thing on this. This was implanted. This radio. This is just a sort of, for comparison, is a typical salary of a professor in the UK at the present time. Well, bankers, professors get a lot more, obviously, with the bonuses. And this was implanted in my left arm. What we got it to do was simply, this is 1998, so we're going way back, was to identify me to the computer in my building. So it opened the door for me to my laboratory when I walked towards the laboratory. It switched the lights on for me, said hello when I came through the front door, things like that. All fun stuff. And various people said, no one's ever going to want to do anything like this. Whereas now, I think the US Food and Drug Admin okayed the very chip for use in humans in about 2004. So there's various people with diabetes. It depends what report you read. Are there 8 or 18 or 100 members of the Mexican government that have an implant like this? And of course, many of you have got cats and dogs with an implant like this. You can rest assured that it's been fully tested on a human before your animal had the thing. It's 4 experiments. That's really all I'm going to say on the RFID. Coming more up to date now, it's really raising the question about what are robots, and with the testing we do with different cultures, with growing neurons and so on, things like that. For me, it's, as a cybernetician, it's important to put it in a feedback loop, and hence using a robot as a testbed body is very, very useful. Now, just to get us in the mood of what robots we're talking about, I've got a little clip here from a BBC programme called Inventions That Change the World. There's a robot head that we start on, and then there's some of our little mobile robots that we use. But it's just a fun clip about robots.
One of the AI community's leading lights is Professor Kevin Warwick.
Well, this is a robot head.
Dissatisfied with vacuum cleaners and robot dogs, Kevin's gone one stage further. His cyborg comes complete with
radar in its nose and an infrared top lip.
Is it intelligent?
Well, in a very limited way, I guess it is. It's sort of a basic instinct. What do I do with this information that I'm getting? How do I move? How do I operate if this signal is different?
So what's it doing now?
Well, if you clap your hands...
Oi, over here. Oh, it did it.
It's making basic decisions. All we've got it doing here is programmed to make basic decisions based on that sensory information that's coming in.
Getting the information in is nothing. That's like picking up a book. That's not an intelligent thing to do. Reading the book and knowing what the words mean, that's surely the intelligence.
Many machines can read books nowadays, but it means something different electronically to the machine as it would mean to a human.
Though the cyborg head does a reasonable job of sensing, it can't really interact with or explore its surroundings. It's fastened to its robot arm. And according to Kevin, it's only as intelligent as a dishwasher. If that's a dishwasher...
Yes.
Where are these in terms of... Are they dolphins, chimps?
I think you'd have to say it's about the 50 to 100 brain cell area. So realistically, you're talking slugs and snails.
But a slug and a snail, they know to eat. They know. These things don't...
They have some innate abilities.
There's no self-preservation with that.
Well, we do have. The power supply, they don't have their own batteries. They each have power they're picking up from the floor here. That's where they're getting their energy. That's where they're getting their food
But
from.
if you turned off this section of the floor...
If we turn off this section,
was here,
they have a basic instinct to go and look for some power somewhere else.
They will
keep going to do that until they find some.
So if I put him down...
It should go off looking...
So he'll have to go and look for power. And I got to tell him to do that?
No, it's an innate response for that robot. It's a basic thing of its life. Yeah.
No, his lights have come back on.
Lights are coming on.
So he's found power.
It's happy now that it's getting power. Away to go.
But these, then, are as intelligent as slugs.
It's different, but in terms of numbers of brain cells and that sort of thing, yeah, we have slugs. Probably you could say we're up to bees and wasps, the sort of tens of thousands of brain cells, is about as good as you can get. Yeah.
Bees and wasps.
Yeah.
Right.
There we go. I have to say again, if we use Wikipedia once more, if you check on there, the actual quote originally was that our robots have 50 to 100 brain cells, which is about the same as a slug or a snail or a Manchester United supporter. But for some reason, the BBC didn't want to put that bit in. So those robots there are they're computer-based, microprocessor-based systems. The robots we've got now, the versions of those wheeled robots that you saw, are no longer of that form. This is on the right-hand side is the robot body with the wheels, as you were looking at. But what we've done is replace the computer, the microprocessor, by a cultured neural network, a biological neural network, and on a multi-electrode array. So we're growing neurons on an array. We can send signals, the sensory signals, ultrasonic sensory signals from the robot body into the brain, the culture, and pick up signals from the culture to send to the wheels of the robot and drive the wheels of the robot around. So the robot's brain is solely a computer. It doesn't have a biological brain, as it were, with neurons that are cultured. It doesn't have a computer in the loop at all. It's just a biological brain making the decisions. This is how, just on a little dish with the electrodes, we have at the moment taken rat embryos, separated the neurons using enzymes, and then laid them out on the array, feed them every couple of days. Within about 20 minutes of being set out, the neurons are starting to make connections with other neurons, and within a week, there's enough activity there, brain activity, that we can link up with the robot and get it to start driving the robot around. And the culture has about 100,000 neurons. So it's not up to the human. So, humans 100 billion or something like that. I think it's 200 billion for Americans, I understand, but typically 100 billion, which is, so it's not up to, but 100,000 is okay. It's quite a reasonable figure to start with. If you've not seen one before, this is a robot, a wheeled robot with ultrasonic sensors on that is being driven purely by a biological brain. And what it's supposed to do is just move forwards and not bump into the wall. So it's supposed to, when it gets close to the wall, turn right, and then, but it's not supposed, there we go, it turns right when it's not supposed to turn right. So what this is like a baby robot. The brain has just been connected on. We've picked up innate ways that the brain operates in order to start it off. And what we're looking at is, if we put it in this corral, in this arena on a regular basis, does the habit of being put in that corral change the neural structure so that particular pathways strengthen, which it does do. Over a period of time, it goes away from this. It's like a baby falling over. It's bumping into the wall too much. After several weeks, it's moving around quite nicely just from the habit of doing that. What we're moving on to, all the 4 studies that I'm talking about, including the RFID that I mentioned, are to do with human studies. Clearly, the culture here, we can start to look at how memories are formed in the culture itself. How does it remember particular places that it's going to, or what to do in particular places? Clearly, that's much more useful when we start looking at human neurons, which is what we're doing now. So we're starting to culture human neurons to put them into the robot body. Clearly, there are a number of ethical issues. It's not such ethical issues that we're not supposed to do it. It's more ethical issues in terms of how do we tell people what we're doing. Because if the media take it, oh, you've got a robot with a human brain, then people might, hold on a minute. And as usual, MIT will claim they've already done it, but you get used to that. It's a shame the guy from Medtronic wasn't able to stick around, because I got a video or DVD that I got from Medtronic just to say this is experiment number 3. We'll see where it goes in a moment. I'm sure most of you have seen the typical Parkinsonian deep brain stimulator, but I'm going to show it to you anyway. If you haven't, then enjoy. This is an actual guy who has Parkinson's disease. He's received the Medtronic stimulator. Thanks to Medtronic for letting me show this. And you will see before and after, and then I will explain the research we're doing in the area.
I'd like to show you in 2 minutes what was the status of Mr. Plessman when he was referred to us by his neurologist in Belgium. And you see him before surgery, without drug, unable to stand up by himself. He's helped by Patricia Limousin, who is a neurologist in our group. And he's not able to do anything of, as he will tell you, makes your life looking like normal. He's not able to walk. He has having dystonia, which are muscular contraction, deforming the different joints. And this is the best he could do without the drugs, with the help of people around him and mainly his wife and friends. He was referred because the drugs were not working anymore. He was not having any more improvement, and as he will tell you, he was just stuck to a wheelchair. This is after surgery. You see the tremor. We turn one of the 2 stimulators which were implanted with electrode into his subthalamic nucleus, which is a tiny part of the brain. And you see that in a few seconds, the stimulation induces a stop of the tremor. This is still visible on the other side. We will turn on the stimulator on the right side, and you will see something even more spectacular than that. You will see that the patient feels again free, he moves, and he resets himself in his chair in the position where he feels the most important. he will obey Dr. Pollack in doing some tests, even if he feels that those tests are a little bit useless as compared to the feeling he has. He can do that almost normally on the right side. Should I do it longer? Does he say? And he will show it on the other side. And then he will walk. He stood up alone. He's without any drug. You see him walking, turning. It was a few days before the Vienna meeting on movement disorder.
Now, there are several thousand people with that implant. The people we work with at Oxford, Tipu Aziz and his team actually fit one of these every week to a new patient. So as he's a neurosurgeon, that means probably about 25 patients a year because they have lots of holidays. But it means there are a lot of people with these implants in place. One of the problems with them is that they're constantly stimulating. So they're using a lot of power, a lot of current up, and they need power packs to be replaced. Actually, recharging them really is not possible externally because of all sorts of factors. And that means going back into hospital every 18 months, 2 years for surgery, which takes up surgeons' time. It costs a lot of money. What we're trying to do is to make the stimulator a little bit more intelligent so that it only stimulates when it needs to stimulate, not all the time. However, you don't want it triggering a stimulation when tremors have started up, so the person has tremors every so often. You need it to try and predict that tremors are going to start before they actually start. And what we're doing, the electrodes are actually bidirectional, so we can pick up signals in this case, the subthalamic nucleus, and use artificial intelligence methods, fairly straightforward ones, nothing particularly daunting, I have to say, to monitor the signals in the person's brain and to predict when tremors are going to occur before they occur. And that's what we're doing at the present time.